Jimmy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Me and technology.
It happens. It happens. But so much for retirement. Here I'm already calling you. I'm surprised you're not like, Dave, leave me alone.
Well, I had an opening.
There
So
you go.
no golf, no tennis today.
You look good. You look like 10 years younger already, and you've just been retired for like 10 days.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Okay, if you figure that out, tell me, because I want to go the other direction. We're just talking about Nico and being patient. It's one thing to say you need to be patient for a freshman. It's another thing for a fan base to actually do it. How challenging will that be?
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. But if Joe Milton plays well, if he plays like he did against Clemson, it's not going to be an issue. He was really good in that game. I think he was 19 of 28, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did not make bad decisions. He did mention afterward that he had a couple of reads that he missed where they should have scored more points. They had more 3 and outs that they wanted. But as long as Milton plays well, there's not going to be any controversy. There's not going to be any yelling for Nico to come into the game. That won't happen as long as Milton plays well and Tennessee's winning. Now, if he struggles, if he overthrows 7 passes in a game, if he completes 40% in the game, you're going to hear it. But again, as long as Milton plays well, there's not going to be any gnashing of teeth from the fan base screaming for Nico Iamaleava.
I'm excited to see what Josh Heupel's offense can do with a guy like Milton. I go back to that Clemson game, and I thought there were a lot more passes over the middle, and that maybe takes advantage of what he does. This offense is still going to be tempo, but Jimmy, how different could it look with Milton instead of Hooker?
I think you may see more shots downfield, although Hooker did throw downfield quite a bit, but I think you may see a few more because you got Milton with such a cannon for an arm. Here's the thing he's got to do a better job of. He's got to do a better job of hitting the shorter routes. You can't throw those 120 miles an hour. They're trying to learn touch. He's been working on that for a couple of years. It's something that was not an issue with Hendon Hooker. He was very accurate on those throws, but you can't throw bullets to where nobody can catch it, including your own players. So that's one of the things he's working on. And also seeing the field. I rarely thought Hooker missed an open receiver. That's going to be a challenge for Milton. Make sure you find the open guy. A lot of that has to do with pre-snap reads, and we'll see how good he is at that. But I think having 2 years in this system, I think he's going to be a much better looking quarterback than the one that took over at the start of the 2021 season.
Jimmy, just playing out a hypothetical in our minds because Dave was talking about the favorable schedule to start the year. I look at it. We know about Virginia's issues, and I'm super low on Florida. I think they're a disaster of a program at this moment. So I think there's no reason Tennessee shouldn't start off 4-0. What happens if Joe Milton and Tennessee start off 4-0, but he's having, say, the type of stat lines that T. Martin had his first 4 or 5 games at Tennessee in 1998, which was a much tougher schedule with T. Martin. They had to play Syracuse, Florida, and Georgia. What happens if Joe Milton is 4-0, but he's completing just barely over 50% of his passes, not a lot of touchdowns? Do you think there's still going to be calls to bench him at that point?
There could be. I heard your analogy earlier to Sterling Hinton to Andy Kelly. That was a team that started undefeated and lost to Alabama. And it was after the Alabama game they made that switch. That's back in 1989. That could well replay itself if that occurs. Now, here's the other part of that. Iamaleava has to show them in practice he's ready. If he's completing 40% in practice, you don't make that move. But if he's playing at a high level in practice, you could make that move if Milton's struggling in spite of Tennessee winning. So that would be the parameters I would put on that.
I don't sense also that Josh Heupel's afraid to make a move like that. I think there have been times where Tennessee's been kind of conservative in those decisions. I don't think Josh Heupel's that type of coach, Jim. I
don't know if he is or not. And one reason I question that, and maybe this isn't a good comparison, but he has to be up 45-0 before he starts subbing people. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
I mean, he won't go. I thought at times he should have played more backups to get them ready. But unless he's got a 45-point lead in the fourth quarter, he sticks with his starters. Now, having said that, what you suggest may be true. It may be that he sees somebody and they're not playing at the level they want, so he makes the move. I mean, the reason Joe Milton came out of the lineup in 2021 was he got hurt. In fact, it was interesting. The start of the next year, a reporter asked Milton about, you got beat out by Hooker. What was that like? He said, I didn't get beat out. I got hurt. So he wasn't relinquishing that. I think his pride wouldn't let him. Would we see Tennessee's head coach Heupel make a change like that? He might. I'm not sure where he is with that. But again, I think a lot of that would play into how good is Nico look in practice? Is he performing at a very high level? And if he is, and Milton's struggling, I could see them making that change.
What do you make of? We hear a lot of criticism of Joe Milton's arm and the lack of accuracy. And then there's the issue where he ran out of bounds against Ole Miss with no time on the clock. But take out that out of bounds run. I don't know if you have. I haven't seen too many decision-making problems with Milton since he's been at Tennessee. It seems like he usually makes the right throw, even if he's not accurate on it. I mean, I don't think he's thrown an interception yet since he's been at Tennessee.
He has not. He's got 12 touchdown passes and no interceptions. But here's the thing. I thought he made a number of bad decisions, not just running out of bounds against Ole Miss, but I thought he made a number of bad decisions and bad overthrows when he was a starter. There were times when I thought he should have taken off. Look, the guy is fast. He can run. He's a reluctant runner. Hooker was more of a, hey, I don't mind scrambling and taking off. Now, to your point, if my stats are correct, Milton was about a 52% passer in 2021. Last year, and I know a lot of it was a mop-up role, he was around 64%. I thought his decision-making on his passing was better. I thought he was more accurate. I thought he saw the field better. I thought he made better decisions. Now, I think a couple of times Tennessee has called design runs for him. I've seen him take off in practice, and this guy is fast. He's faster than Hooker. Yeah. He just doesn't like to run. And I told somebody this the other day. Now, I may be totally wrong about this, but if Anthony Richardson is picked in the top 5 of the NFL draft, then I think Joe Milton could be next year. Because how good did Richardson play? Milton has everything Richardson has except the willingness to run. But he's about as fast as Richardson. He's going to time a really fast 40. He's got a great arm. He's got the physique that you want. He's 6'5", he's 244. So I think he's exactly what the NFL is looking for, with the exception that he has not proven it consistently on the field.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because somebody in Tennessee's camp told me that he looks at Anthony Richardson as what he could be in a year. Exactly.
Wow.
And that's the motivation for him. If there were any laps, which I don't necessarily think there would be. Again, the column is on offthehooksports.com. What were some of your thoughts on spring camp other than the quarterback position?
I'll have to combine this a little bit because there were at least 18 players that didn't play in the spring game, right?
Yes.
So we got to watch a number of practices beforehand. There was even one period that was open. We had 10 periods one day. This defense is more athletic and it's faster and it's bigger than it's been. I think the defense has a chance to be better than it was. And I think the defense actually played better than some people gave them credit for last year, but I think they can be better. They've got some outstanding young players. They've got some guys that can run. They've got some guys that can rush the passer. So I just athletically, speed-wise on defense, I think they're going to be better. Receiver-wise, I think they're going to be fine. Ramel Keaton is a guy that you keep trying to recruit somebody to beat him out, and they can't seem to do it. And I think Keaton is a solid player. Dante Thornton, the transfer from Oregon, I think is going to be a really good player. I like Squirrel White a lot. He's about 160 pounds maybe, and he gets open. You can't bump and run him because he's too quick. And then if you throw a 5-yard pass, he can take it 50, but he can also beat you deep. I like him a lot as a receiver. I think Brew McCoy is a really good football player, a big target. So I like the receiving core. They don't need a lot of depth because they don't play a lot, but they still need at least 5 guys they can play with. The big concern to me is going to be on the offensive line, losing Darnell Wright. I'll say this, the first couple of years he was there, in my opinion, as a 5-star, I would have called him a bust. The last year and a half, he didn't give up a sack, and he really played well. He's going to be hard to replace, and I think Jerome Carvin was an underrated part of that offensive line unit. I think he's a good football player. I don't know if they're going to be able to replace him either, but I'll say this, and I contended this when Heupel got there. When you run this hurry-up, fast-paced offense, I think it can mitigate an average offensive line. I think you can overcome it. The defense gets tired. You're running plays so fast, they get worn out. You set things up. You can be an average offensive line and be productive because of the scheme that they run. So I'll be curious to see. But there were a couple of players that stood out to me. Arian Carter on defense is really good. Caleb Herring on defense, a freshman, is really good. They're going to really like this linebacker they brought in, Keenan Pili from Brigham Young. He's a good football player. So I think they have added some good pieces to this team based on what I saw in the spring.
Jimmy, great stuff. I certainly appreciate it. You're still going to be very active, even though you're not hosting Sports Talk Daily. So if people want to follow your work, how can they do that?
Well, on your website. and I'll
right when I asked that question, I realized I just asked for a self-promotion. I was like, oh my.
That's the only thing I've written since I've retired. So,
but also he's on the Twitter as well.
Yeah, I can go and on Twitter, and I'll follow some stuff out there at Jimmy Hyams. It's pretty simple. It's been suggested to me to jump in there and do a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to do that right now. I may jump back into circulation more so in August or so at football, but I need some time away. And so I'll do a little bit, not a lot. I may fire out a column here or there, but it won't be a lot until I get geared up in the summer when closer to football season.
Enjoy the fam, because I know what it's like when you don't get off the air till 7, you miss a lot. So
yeah, you're exactly right. Yep. Yeah. So, and I got a grandkid. I got to look after him too. So
that's going to be the best golfer in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, the next Tiger's last name is Hyams.
Yeah.
Or is that? No, that wouldn't be the last name. But anyway, the next Tiger is a direct descendant of Jimmy Hyams.
By the way, my golf game has gotten better since I retired.
I would bet. Unlike Jerry Green, you never snuck off and played golf while you were supposed to be working.
I didn't have a brown bag with me either.
No, or your golf bag at practice, in which you left halfway through, and Chris Lowe and I both saw you. But anyway.
Oh, we got a game tonight? Oh,
yeah. What time? And there actually was a time that he forgot the tip.
Yeah. Shut up. Yeah.
To be fair, I've heard these rumors, but I also heard a rumor that didn't Spurrier used to say, like, hey, hurry up, let's finish practice because I got tea time soon. Didn't he do that coaching Washington one time?
I've heard that, but he also won games.